Quality of life changes. We haven't had one of those big drops of quality of life changes in a good bit. Behavior has given us in the better part of a year or so is crossplay and the endgame collapse, which of course are good changes, but you know, there are a lot of new things that we are lacking. We also did get colorblind mode, which is good for accessibility changes. We got the new wiggle features. These are all very good changes, even though they are taking a good bit. You know, it's good to see that behavior is thinking of these things, and they are currently working on a new system where you can see what your teammates are doing, so like in VHS. But there have been many ideas that probably should have been taken advantage of, such as a search bar function, be able to see other survivors' perks in game, or have set loadouts or set skin loadouts like in Fortnite. And I hate that I'm referencing Fortnite, but I mean, like, hey, they've revolutionized a lot of the new gaming community features, especially the battle pass. A lot of these changes are really needed, and I think it goes without saying that behavior should pounce on them as quickly as possible, because it's not really a matter of big changes, huge changes that the community is looking for. It's mostly just many small ones. And in dev live streams, they've said that they're not going to, they have no plans at least to implement a search bar function, no plans to reduce the perk grind to 1 tier, which I still think is kind of ridiculous. I think they should think about that and make that so that the grind is less. They did recently, there has been a leak recently that there is going to be a new function with queue times, so you will get rewarded with blood points to switch roles if queue times for a specific role is too long. So to improve waiting time in the queue for matchmaking, there's going to be incentives for switching roles, which is something that's been asked for quite a while. And it also helps us know, like, okay, these queues are really bad right now, or these are, and maybe I should play this right now so I don't have to wait 5 minutes for a queue. Why am I saying all of this? Why do we need to focus so much on quality life changes? The reason is because behavior focuses, since like basically the release of the game, they've been doing these chapter releases, you know, every 3 months we're gonna have a new chapter, or we're gonna have something in the mid chapter, and that's great and all. I think that's really good to have consistent content, but there's a big issue with having such like constrictive deadlines. Having these deadlines don't allow for much leeway or for other things the dev team and design team to focus on. I've been a pretty big advocate of stopping new content from coming out for at least a little while. Don't get me wrong, I love new content to come in the game. It makes me really excited for new killers, new survivors, new perks, new builds, new maps. It makes me really excited, so that shouldn't be your takeaway from this. What I mean is that if we had the option to halt new content for one whole chapter, or even like the more extreme option, maybe even like something like 6 months of no new content, and instead they focus on patching out bugs, fixing killers, reworking killers, optimizing the game, making new game modes, adding new sections of the menu, you know, for example, like a search bar. I think that would be really healthy for the game, and I would be all for it. It would suck to not have content for a while, but if they just halted doing that and instead focused their design team towards quality of life changes only, I think the community would be really happy about that. Something like Overwatch, where they have experimental sections where they mess around the fine tunings of the game and balancing. And instead of having to download the PTB, a whole new game to play the updated version, you just switch to a different mode in the game and everything's already changed. I think quality of life changes at the end of the day are really important. And if we don't see many of those, then of course people are going to stop being as interested. Now, it would be really nice. It would be wishful thinking to say, well, why can't we just have both? You know, why can't we just have content every 3 months and have these quality of life changes? I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, say like, oh, there's no time for them. I wish they would do that. I feel like that would be the best thing to do. But let's not kid ourselves. Behavior they do take kind of a while to respond to stuff and try and get stuff going. Even Almo with colorblind mode, when people were finally asking for colorblind mode, Almo responded to it in a pretty stupid manner, I won't lie, saying that, you know, stop asking us about it and whatnot. And then he was promptly removed from the dev live streams, and they announced a colorblind mode after it gained significant traction on Twitter and whatnot. And I think these type of quality of life changes, I think we're at the point in DBD where we're kind of so starved for changes that like any new small change is like huge, but they're so spread out, these changes, that it just kind of like, oh, well, that's cool. 10 minutes later, you already forget about it, you know? The game will forever have its issues. The updates will just keep making the game worse. We all know how new content coming to the game means new players, you know, new players, but it also means more issues. Sometimes new content of the game does the opposite of what they want. Instead of driving new players in, it forces people out. I saw this as a reoccurring trend, and it started, in my eyes, it started when Blight and Twins came out. Blight was horribly buggy, would bounce off of anything. Twins, that chapter caused so many issues. The community was up in arms about it. And ever since then, it just seems that every chapter has had a huge host of issues. The more they release content over and over and over and over and over, it's great, brings new players in. It creates more issues. There's more patches. There's more bugs that need to be fixed. So what would happen if they just stopped making content for 3, even 6 months, even a whole year? Of course, I would never want that to happen. I think a whole year is a ridiculous amount of time without any new content. But what would happen if they stopped making content for that amount of time? They would probably be able to devote their time and focus and energy to fixing the game. And for example, you know, we've seen the nurses finally getting her blink bug fixed, but even that patch created more and more bugs where she had to be disabled for, it feels like, almost a month now. And that's wild to me that she has to be disabled for that long. Again, I will reiterate, I love the new content. I think it's good for the game, brings in new players. It stops the game from being as stale. But when there's only one game mode, how much less stale can the game be if it's just a new killer and survivor? Sometimes just one of the two as well. It will make some novelty for a little bit, give you some more achievements to complete on the Steam store. After that, it's just like, well, it's just the same game again, you know? So imagine if we had a 2v8. Imagine if we have a prop hunt. I know Cows did that, and it was in an amazingly hilarious video that he made about it. I think if they hired, there are many amazingly talented people from the modding community that I think Behavior could easily hire, be a part of their team, and make game modes, make new maps, make new characters, make cosmetics. One issue that Behavior seems to also have is that they don't really want to interact with the community that way. And I get it. They want like professionally experienced people to work with them and have, you know, the experience to back it up. You know, I've seen companies before team up with the community, and they even team up with the community doing the cosmetic challenge, the cosmetic contest every year. Why can't they just do the same with new concepts, you know? New concepts, new game modes. Again, if someone can create a literal prop hunt mode in DBD, why not take advantage of that? You know, why not take advantage of that? Slap their name in the credit in the game, give them some royalties for making it, and everyone in the game would love it, you know? I don't think Behavior should look down on that as a possibility just because they're not officially on their team. I wish Behavior would take some time off from making content all the time, because again, what if the new chapter is just royally bad? What if it's really bad? And not only is a waste of time from them, you know, making the chapter, but they didn't spend it on doing anything else. Let me know what you guys think about that. Them taking time off from making chapters and instead focus on quality of life changes. And yeah, see you in the next one.